Cameroonians in the northwest and southwest regions have exercised their civic rights this Sunday by voting 13 MPs in an election described as hitch-free. Get reactions of the voters in this newscast. Religious denominations in the country have prayed to God to intervene so that a cure for COVID-19 can be found. The 7:30 News equally evaluates how the measures taken by government are being implemented in churches. The late Deputy Director General of CRTV, Director General of Camtel, and Mayor of Lolodov, Emmanuel Gyamba Lusiri, has finally been laid to rest in his native Bingambo in the presence of government ministers and CPDM supporters to pay him their last respect. Ocean Division SDO represented President Paul Biya at the funeral and decorated him posthumously. And those are top stories. Thanks for joining us on this 7:30 News with me, Gladys Tata. Voting for the legislative election rerun has effectively taken place in the northwest region with no major incident recorded except some futile attempts to disrupt the polls in Jakiri by yet-to-be-identified persons. Among those who cast their votes in Bamenda was the Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Atanganji. For more on the unfolding of the polling exercise in the northwest region, here is Ngoninge Shwaibo Shari.
As early as 8 a.m., electors in Bamenda and other parts of the northwest region concerned with the election rerun could be seen trickling into the various polling centers. While there, they first verified their names on the list of registered voters posted on the walls before proceeding into their polling stations to cast their votes. Given the prevailing context, special measures were taken to keep the dreaded coronavirus at bay, with every elector obeying the rule of the game for their own good and that of others.
Those prescriptions from the head of state, which were all outlined by the Prime Minister, head of government, must be respected. That would be the best way for us to fight against the coronavirus, which is devastating.
The Territorial Administration Minister, who voted alongside Governor Adolphe Lele-Lafrique of the Northwest region at the Public Works Department polling center at Up Station, also saluted the smooth conduct of the exercise in Bamenda.
So far, so good. You can see that the region is calm and people are going to vote. And I think that is the best way to exercise democracy. Those who are going to vote are voting for the construction of the nation.
Echoes from other parts of the northwest region, where the election was equally taking place, have also spoken of a globally hitch-free polling operation, despite isolated attempts to disrupt the polls, which were promptly tackled, as was the case in Jakiri. After voting in Bamenda, Governor Adolphe Lele-Lafrique proceeded to Jakiri and other localities like Wum and Furuawa to assess the situation on the ground. Fingers are now crossed, waiting for the outcome of the polls.
Election rerun in Lebialem division in the southwest region have also recorded no major incidents. The several polling stations in the division were all opened at 8 a.m. for voters to perform their civic rights. Paul Tazong, Minister Delegate at the Ministry of Economy, Planning and Regional Development in charge of planning, voted in the division and expressed satisfaction with the turnout of voters, as Guy Roger Nana tells us from CRTV Southwest in Boya.
Campaigns were over several hours ago. It is time for decision-making, this time around in the hands of inhabitants of this division. Sons and daughters of Lebialem made their way Sunday morning to the various polling stations to perform their duties. At the Government Technical College in Demzem in Wabane, over 50 voters had turned out before 10 a.m.
For these elections of 22nd March, I'm very glad that our people are coming out. Stations open at 8 a.m. and voting started at 8 a.m.
Tasong Paul, Minister Delegate to the Minister of Economy, Planning and Regional Development in charge of planning, has been on the move in the division to see for himself that the electoral process here is moving on smoothly.
I have had a chance to visit 2 polling centers before now, one in Wabane subdivision and one other in Alo subdivision. And I am in a 3rd polling center, which is located at Government Nursery School at Something. My impressions are very satisfactory. seeing the zeal and the courage that several Cameroonians display despite all the odds to be able to accomplish this right of theirs.
Elecam officials on the spot affirm that the process so far has respected all provisions of the law. The general atmosphere around the polling station was that of excitement, judging from the attitude of voters as they scrolled through electoral lists to identify their polling stations. The mixed military contingents have been on red alert, pushing back any threats to the electoral process, which has been smooth so far.
And on to other news, today marks the first Sunday since government took stringent measures to put the spread of COVID-19 under check in Cameroon. One of such is limiting the number of people in gatherings, be it church service or mass. Churches in Yaoundé today strictly observed the measures by allowing fewer persons for a church service and increasing the number of services and masses. Alice May went finding out how this was done and compiled the following report for the 7:30 News.
At the St. Vincent Pallioti Parish, Loncac, more than 26 different masses were organized this Sunday. Each mass lasted 45 minutes with only 50 Christians in attendance.
We have 3 places for masses, around seven priests that are available. Each mass will hold. We have mass for 45 minutes only. We had the masses in Iwondo in French. After we have the masses in English and also 3 series of 3 masses.
At the Our Lady of Victory Cathedral downtown Yaoundé, the case is not different. Several masses were equally organized at different spots on the cathedral premises. Focus at every mass was on the measures taken to fight against the pandemic.
We have only 50 persons for the mass, and after the mass, we are obliged to disinfect the church. We disinfect the hand before the communion because I think it's important for all Cameroonians to know that a pandemic is not a joke. We must help contain persons at home.
While at Paras Chrisra in Chinga, the doors of the parish remained shut, but the few faithfuls who called around were received nearby separately. Each Christian went through basic hygiene rules before getting into the church ground. Security has equally been beefed up in all the prayer grounds.
Meantime, most Protestant churches in the nation's capital have reduced the number of Christians during Sunday's service to 50, while others have temporarily shut down to curb the COVID-19 pandemic. Ewane Pole visited some Protestant churches in Yaoundé this Sunday and compiled the following report.
These Protestant churches are always crowded on Sundays, but on this particular Sunday, just a number of Christians were in the house of God to worship. The pastors and elders assigned by God to lead his people are still on guard. The men of God have taken measures to continue feeding their Christians spiritually.
We have taken measures, sanitary measures, as prescribed by the Prime Minister, Chief of Government. We have no more than 50 persons. We will have special churches, 5 churches per day. The first one will take place at 8:30, the second one at 9:30. We will not have choirs, we will only worship.
We decided to respect government instructions and we organized small groups of prayers. We recorded church service that we sent through WhatsApp to all of our Christians.
For now, other Protestant churches are closed. Their Christians have been advised to visit the church for individual prayers only during the week in order to keep safe from the COVID-19 virus.
Christians in some parishes in Yaoundé have been on their knees in a special prayer to implore God to halt the spread of the coronavirus in the country. At the Marie Mediatrice parish of the Catholic Church in Etudi, as well as the Église Réformée Presbytérienne du Cameroun, prayers for peace and other prayers against the spread of COVID-19 were also said. Victor Siga has more.
Churches in Cameroon have begun the fight against the COVID-19 through prayers. At the Église Presbytérienne Réformée du Cameroun and Paroisse Marie Mediatrice of Etudi, members came out in numbers this Sunday to pray for peace in Cameroon amid the devastating COVID-19.
The illness, the virus is evident, it's real. We have to take it seriously. Because of the people of God, because of the elected people, the Lord will surely stop this. So the message is a message of hope. It's a message of faith.
Apart from preaching, the faithful were encouraged to put into practice those measures outlined by the government to contain the spread of the disease, such as avoiding body contact, handshakes, and applying disinfectants on hands before getting into the church.
The message to people is to be following the government regulation and then to pray for repentance.
These men of God also urge Christians to be steadfast in prayers during these times of fear and uncertainty.
Bishops of the Ecclesiastical Province of the East region have called on Christians to pray as they look up to God to provide a cure for the dreaded COVID-19 across the globe. This was during the 73rd Episcopal Conference of the Ecclesiastical Province of Bertua under the leadership of His Lordship Paul Lonzi Kene, Bishop of Yokaduma. Tala LT has more from the East in Bertua.
The COVID-19 coronavirus is claiming lives across the world and causing global panic. Governments have taken measures to prevent this pandemic, including that of Cameroon. The bishops of the Ecclesiastical Province of Bertua during the 73rd Episcopal Conference in Baturi brainstormed on how the Roman Catholic Church in the East can assist the government fight the coronavirus.
Surely the government take measures, but now we need to help our population to integrate this measure, and so we avoid this pandemic.
The fight against this pandemic, the bishops believe, is way above sensitization and prevention. But prayers, they say, must be the first measure taken by Christians.
We have to pray for our country, we have to pray for the world and ask God to save us, to protect us, to guide us, to give us courage and faith, because without faith we cannot live.
Christian life within the Bertua Ecclesiastical Province, especially the training of priests, was also an issue the bishops discussed in Baturi. The 73rd Episcopal Conference of the Bertua Ecclesiastical Province was to end with a grand mass, which was cancelled due to the fact that the bishops wanted to avoid large gatherings of Christians.
Some Yaoundé city dwellers who have been screened for the coronavirus have expressed the wish that the team set up at the multipurpose sports complex maintain there as long as it can. They expressed disappointment which they got when they got at the complex this Sunday and discovered that screening just ended for 24 hours. Baldwin Sama tells us more.
One of the courtyards of the Yaoundé Sports Complex Sunday afternoon that was to serve as a testing center for persons suspected to have been infected with COVID-19. The environment is empty and the seats unoccupied. We are told public health officials assigned to screen potentially infected persons worked here on Saturday, but this Sunday, more concerned Cameroonians anxious to know their status came calling at the sports complex. Unfortunately, there is nobody to attend to them. Kevin Fuzu, who has been so close to many persons, is anxious to be screened. After visiting the Central Hospital, he comes here and finds no solution. I went to the Central Hospital yesterday around midday. I met a lady who asked me to come to the Yaoundé Sports Complex. Surprisingly, when I got here, I noticed there was nobody. There were chairs available, but no one to attend to me. Others wish that the team to carry out the screening continues working here and for longer hours. I propose that screening continues till about midnight. Why not 24 hours on 24? Because there are many Cameroonians just like me who would like to know their status and how to stay safe. For now, screening continues in the different government hospitals.
Bar and restaurant owners in Douala in the Littoral region are taking measures by government to close their businesses by 6 p.m. with mixed feelings. While some are on the right side of the new dispensation, others are still found wanting, as our Littoral regional correspondent Alphonse Abongwa confirms.
Friday, March 20th, it is about 8 p.m. This mission mandated by Littoral Governor headed by his Chief of Cabinet goes downtown Douala to scout for lawbreakers of the government measures against the deadly coronavirus. The mission makes its way into this bakery in Aqua. Shockingly close to 150 customers are queued up in the bakery, either being served or waiting to be served. First observation, very insignificant attention is given to any of the 13 measures put in place by government. The head of mission tries to sensitize the officials on why it is imperative to shut down, even for their own health benefits, but meets with fierce opposition and is threatened by the expatriate officials and his Cameroonian security. After several minutes of tension, the Chief of Cabinet leaves and orders for the place to be closed in the next 1 hour. Order defied. He continues his sensitization mission elsewhere. Several businesses still play the game of hide and seek. Out of the 13 measures, the one on shutdown by 6 p.m. seems to be the most violated in the economic capital, from drinking spots to restaurants, shops and supermarkets. The people seem to have the impression that coronavirus is still a farce.
And as you say, coronavirus is not a farce. As of today, reports say the coronavirus pandemic continued to escalate with over 300,000 cases globally. More worrisome are the World Health Organization statistics, indicating that Italy surpassed China as the country with the highest death toll of more than 4,000, with over 600 dying last Friday. Cynthia Saptala makes a roundup of the world statistics on what is today the #1 killer disease.
It's the top story on every TV or news channel worldwide.
The coronavirus COVID-19 has affected 188 countries and territories, with statistics showing 16,000 cases of death and 13,000 deaths globally. The novel coronavirus that emerged in the central Chinese city of Wuhan in late December 2019 spread in multiple countries around the world at the same time, making it a pandemic. According to the World Health Organization and the Worldometer site, which chronicles the cases daily, these are the top 10 countries greatly affected by the COVID-19. In the Asian region, China remains the most hit with over 81,000 cases. Latest updates talk of 46 new cases imported in Hubei. On the upside, Chinese health authorities report that there are no new local transmitted coronavirus cases, making a major turning point in the battle to contain the disease. In Europe, it's Italy that has the highest number of affected persons, but tops the global death toll with more than 4,000 deaths and the highest record of deaths in a single day. Also concerning in Europe is Spain with more than 28,000 cases and about 2,000 deaths. In Southeast Asia, the top 3 countries affected according to the WHO are Indonesia, Thailand, and India. While in the Eastern Mediterranean region, it's Iran that records the highest numbers of cases. In the Americas, the USA is now at about 27,000 cases of the COVID-19, with states like New York, Washington, California, and New Jersey greatly affected. In Africa, it's South Africa that contains the highest number with 240, followed by Algeria, Burkina Faso, Senegal, and Cameroon. With the latest tweet from the Minister of Public Health announcing 13 new cases, Cameroon now has 40 cases of COVID-19.
Away from the coronavirus issue, farmers' associations that make up the 3 subdivisions of the Mifi Division of the West Region have received improved seeds from the Deputy Secretary General at the Prime Minister's office, Professor Pascal Gihe County. The distribution exercise took place at his Goku residence in Bafoussam, as Chanceline Nancy tells us from CRTV West in Bafoussam.
Unlike Unlike in previous years, where beneficiaries converged on the Bafusam ceremonial ground, the distribution exercise this time took the team dispatched by the Deputy Secretary General at the Prime Minister's office, Professor Pascal Ngie Kante, to leaders of common initiative groups and quarter heads in the MIFI division. This to avoid bringing together more than 50 people in compliance with the preventive measures against the spread of COVID-19 prescribed by the head of state. The farmer associations for the 6th year in succession left with improved maize, bean and Irish potato seed and organic manure. The beneficiaries say the gesture is timely as most of them had already cultivated their farms and needed seeds for planting. Professor Pascal Ngie Kante, through his emissary, promised to offer the farmers tools in the days ahead.
Today, March 22nd, is being observed as World Water Day under the theme Water and Climate Change. Over in the South region, most streams and rivers which used to serve the population have disappeared as a result of global warming and human activities. Clarence Aze reports that the phenomenon has adverse effects on many people who carry out their recreational and commercial activities on the banks of such water bodies.
The Bengo River along the newly inaugurated Bengo International Hotel in Ebolova is a shining spotlight on how climate change is threatening river health. The once clean and healthy river, which used to serve as a source of water for many and a heaven for car cleaners, is today a shadow of itself.
I came to this environment in 2008. Actually, when we came here, our river was still flowing on the both sides. We were swimming, fishing on both sides of the water.
Climate change alone is not the only factor contributing to the shrinking of the volume of water, but human activities as well.
Like land reclamation, by this influencing the volume and the rate with which the river could have been evolving. The kettles and the plastic bags, some of us just dump it in the water, and consequently it will block the flow of the water at the downside.
Like the Bengo River, many other rivers and streams in Ebolova are rapidly drying out. This is greatly affecting the fish and other aquatic species, as well as the countless recreational and commercial opportunities carried out along the banks of these water bodies.
From 2008 to 2020 that we are today, 12 years, this side of water is no more existing. And the situation is that when the rainy season will come, it will overflow even.
Thus the need to protect and restore the rivers.
Over in the southwest region, sons and daughters of Lebialem division have been told to move away from mistakes of the past and work towards the reconstruction of their division. The appeal was made by elites of Lebialem led by Paul Tazong, Minister Delegate at the Ministry of the Economy, Planning and Regional Development. As Guy Roger Nana of CRTV Southwest tells us, the elites were in Lebialem division to take stock of what has been destroyed since the socio-economic crisis kicked off in that region.
Sad eyes focused on today's burned structures, certainly in reminiscence of yesterday's beauty that has been destroyed quicker, easier than it was built. Minister Paul Tassong and his delegation moved from compound to compound, almost in disbelief and grief. However, it is time to move on, they say.
It's exactly 2 years today when my residence went off in fire. Many of my brothers and sisters have lost their property. In future, together, we shall be able not only to build back our residences, but even to build them better than what we had.
Words of encouragement were expressed towards those who are still counting their losses. However, government effort was promised in the reconstruction of the damage.
On the 17th of March 2018, one of the icons of education in this country, Professor Ayabo Leketambo, was taken into captivity by the forces of evil. Besides him, several other sons and daughters of Lebialem, reconstruction and development, as discussed during the major national dialogue, is a reality.
These are the effects, these are tangible effects of the crisis. The minister and a huge delegation have visited these villages and of course try to evaluate, see, touch physically the destruction that has befallen this community for a long time now.
The election rerun in the northwest and southwest region took place today, and Minister Atanganji now gives a balance sheet of the elections that took place. He was talking to our reporter Kilian Difon. Let's have a listen.
Also to give a message from both countries.
Ladies and gentlemen of the media, following the decision of the Constitutional Council to cancel the February 9 legislative elections in some constituencies of the Northwest and Southwest regions, the President of the Republic, His Excellency Paul Biya, convened the electorate of 10 constituencies in the Northwest region and 1 constituency in the Southwest region against 22nd March 2020 to re-elect their representatives in the National Assembly. The rerun concerned Menchum North, Menchum South, Mezam Center, Mezam North, Mezam South, Bui Center, Bui South, Bui West, Momo East, and Momo West constituencies in the Northwest region, and the Lebialem constituency in the Southwest region. Campaigns went on hitch-free in all the constituencies. The elections actually took place today, Sunday, 22nd March 2020, and polling stations opened at 8 a.m. and closed at 6 p.m. in accordance with provisions of the law. Counting began as soon as polling stations were closed and will continue till the end when the polling officials will sign the reports. Based on exit poll reports from administrative authorities, the Minister of Territorial Administration, government's agent in the electoral process, can conclude that today's polls were calm, free, and fair. No major incident likely to affect the smooth conduct of these elections or its credibility has been reported by the local administrative authorities and the law enforcement officers. Like in the past, administrative authorities alongside defense and security forces provided ELECAN with appropriate security coverage in its mission, and this to the satisfaction of all the political stakeholders involved. Observers who were on the field did their work freely. Results will be proclaimed by the Constitutional Council, the only body vested with the powers to do so. So I urge all the political stakeholders to stay calm and wait for the proclamation of the results.
And on to this obituary, Emmanuel Ngyamba Lutsiri, one-time Deputy Director General of CRTV and Director General of X and Telcom and Camtel, who died last February 23rd, has been laid to rest in his native Bingambo village in the Lodov South region. The requiem mass to pay him last respect was attended by many, amongst them some government ministers and Serak women. The Secretary General of the Central Committee was represented by Henri Pierre Ngwangale, while Antoine Bisaga, SD of the Ocean Division, represented the head of state, as Bitesngom tells us.
80 years ago in this village, Bingambo, a child was born, Emmanuel Ngyamba Lutsiri. A decade after, family, friends and sympathizers have converged on this village to pay tribute to Emmanuel, as he was fondly called. In a series of eulogies shared, the departed was acknowledged for his generosity towards his community and his patriotism to his country. The patriarch, many admonished, lived and died for his convictions.
My dad was a great man, and he did a lot. He was a man with a great heart, a family man. We're going to miss him forever.
The telecoms icon, who served the CRTV as Deputy Director General, was at the center of the creation of the TV unit and CTV, present-day CRTV. He was also a leading architect in the implantation of Intelcam, later transformed to Camtel, where he was Director General from 1993 to 2005. He worked tirelessly to modernize and cover the national territory with telecommunications infrastructure. He was an acclaimed patriot. The former mayor of Lolodov has quit the scene in grand style. He has posthumously been decorated Grand Cordon of the Cameroonian Merit by the SDO of the Ocean Division, Antoine Bissaga, on behalf of the head of state. The SDO was also a bearer of a condolence message from the head of state to the bereaved family in a ceremony rich in speeches and also in sorrow. So ends the earthly journey of Emmanuel Ngiamba Lutsiri.
Military honors have equally been paid to late Lieutenant Guy Raymond Woufo at the military headquarters brigade here in Yaoundé. Lieutenant Guy Raymond Woufo died from an illness on February 22nd at the University Teaching Hospital in Yaoundé at the age of 45. The military honors ceremony was chaired by Brigadier General Ouseni Jibo, commander of the 1st Gendarmerie Region, as representative of the minister delegate at the Presidency of the Republic in charge of defense. Kilian Dandifon was there and has the details.
Funeral procession for Lieutenant Raymond Guy Woufo received at the military headquarters brigade Friday in Yaoundé under the gloomy skies, as if nature also was mourning the death of a military officer. It was a general mood of sadness also visible on the faces and attitude of the attendees, from senior military officers through the rank and file to the family of the deceased. The atmosphere notwithstanding, the remains of Lieutenant Raymond Guy Woufo received the honors due a valiant military officer who served his country for 21 years with honor and loyalty. The minister delegate at the presidency in charge of defense was represented at the ceremony by Brigadier General Ouseni Jibo, commander of the 1st Gendarmerie Region, where the late officer served before his position as security officer at the Prime Minister's office in 2006. From there, he served as security officer for the Vice Prime Minister, Secretary General at the Central Committee of the CPDM, Jean Kwete, until his death on February 22, 2020. Lieutenant Raymond Guy Woufo leaves behind one wife, 6 children, other members of his biological family, military and administrative families, as well as friends to mourn him, as the body is conveyed for burial Saturday in his native village in Bafou near Chang in the West region.
Our artist of the week is Madeleine Epoué, an esthetician with 35 years of experience, popular for the use of natural products like bark of trees and leaves to promote the beauty of her clients. The native of Bagante, today wife and mother, runs a beauty institute involved in training young Cameroonians in aesthetics. Her passion, difficulties and successes in the following report with Emanuela Vemnoy.
When she maneuvers her fingers on your body, all stress and accumulated fatigue give way to relaxation. Lady Madeleine Epoué puts her 35-year experience in aesthetics to satisfy her clients. It took this native of Bagante West region 5 years of training in a foreign land, France, full of racism in the 80s, to get here.
The problems I faced being a lone black in my school in Paris pushed me to become what I am today. I doubled my efforts, and after 5 years, paying 5 million yearly as fees, I succeeded.
Back in Cameroon, Lady Madeleine dashed the use of imported aesthetics products to using naturally made ones from the forest in Cameroon. This has made her stand out.
I worked with 5 renowned products from France, and each time I had problems finding what suit Cameroonians. So I opted for products from plants found in a forest. With them, I
From examining the kind of skin tone of her clients to giving them advice on what goes for their skin and more, this wife and mother today runs an institute that trains young Cameroonians on aesthetics.
When I look at the reaction of my customers after using natural products, I see a great future for our products convenient to our environment. That's why I train these young estheticians.
She has done this for 35 years and says she doesn't count on ending just yet, for as long as she has breath.
And that does it on the 7:30 news. Join Atta Badine Umar at 8:30 for Le 20h30. And you'll be in the company of Ben Meno Pufong as from tomorrow. And from Friday, I'll be your host. Until then, it's bye from all of us on the 7:30 call. Good night.
CRTV News, nothing but the news.